My video marketing strategy for melange, also known as spice, if I could. Whoa. Hold on, one moment. Before we get started, short disclaimer. Myself and Creative Canids do not in fact condone any kind of drug use unless it is medically prescribed to you. This is all fictional, all for fictional purposes, just to have a little bit of fun. So, you know, just so we're all aware. Okay, get back to it. On you go. Now, in order to understand what video content we need to market spice, we first need to know what it is, what it does, and who it's for. Spice, also known as melange, is a psychedelic drug that is both an essential and valuable commodity. It can only be found on the planet of Arrakis. For our purposes, we're going to be the marketing department for House Atreides, just after they've taken over control of the planet. Spice has many benefits, such as providing its users with a longer lifespan, greater vitality, and heightened awareness. It can also unlock precognition. It allows for accurate and safe interstellar travel, and there are three main users of spice. We have the Bene Gesserit Order, the Spacing Guild, and the Fremen. For this, we are going to set aside the Fremen as they are the native race of the planet. I don't think we need to look at how to market to them. They already know what's up. That leaves us with two distinct target markets, which means we'll also need two different lots of video content to cater to their tastes. The Bene Gesserit and the Spacing Guild both rely heavily on spice for their strength. Let's first check out the Bene Gesserit Order. They are also known as just the Bene Gesserit or the Sisterhood. They are an ancient and Dept organisation. They are an all-women order comprised of spies, nuns, scientists, theologians, and they use genetic experimentation, galactic political interference, and religious engineering to further their own agenda. Their objectives and actions formed a critical element in the evolution of humanity. The Bene Gesserit act in the background of imperial politics. They offered a provision of services such as training noble daughters, mediation in disputes, and overseers of negotiations. They'd carved out their own niche in the structure of Imperium. This sisterhood has a multitude of powers they wield, but all of these rely on spice in order to function. Without the drug, they can no longer tap into their weirding ways. Our second party, the Spacing Guild, is another order that cannot operate without the use of spice. The Spacing Guild, also known as the Guild of Navigators, is an interstellar shipping and trade conglomerate. The Guild is the second mental physical training school after our previous Bene Gesserit, and the Guild offers faster than light space travel, which they hold a monopoly over. This also offered them significant political power. They rely on spice to gain prescient powers, which allows the safe passage through space. Prior to using spice, 1 in every 8 space folders was destroyed during travel. Now, here's the fun part. Now we know what our two markets are, we can look at what kind of content we think will work for them. Now, I think I'd want an overarching video of the overall composition of melange, where it comes from, how it's harvested, and the benefits of its use. We won't talk about the horrendous consequences if you do so decide to come off of spice. This video would feel like a spa video, very clean and calm, though perhaps in those sepia tones we find on Arrakis. Think a skincare advert, almost clinical, but with that little sprinkle of scientific jargon or marketing terms that they like to use in them. Then the marketing would branch out into two styles to meet the tastes of our two customer bases. For the Bene Gesserit, we want to tap into their female empowerment, like the literal powers they attain through using spice. I would make some lifestyle-esque video content similar to what many sports brands use. As the younger generation comes through the order, I think tapping into short-form user-generated content demonstrating the powers gained and how useful they are would be a great way to influence their young minds. They see someone their age doing what they currently can't with the use of spice. It's a very strong pull for them. This also, tapping into that user-generated content, also means that you will always have a consistent flow of content. I also believe an interview with Reverend Mother may also be a key piece of video content that could be used for a multitude of videos, including promotional content. This is an order of women who often end up brushing shoulders with nobility. Again, I think some of our short form content should be used kind of like skincare ads because of that longer lifespan and vitality. If we tap into that and show it in a very high-end, designer, desirable way for these young women who are going to be brushing shoulders with nobility, I think that could be a good push as to keep spice cemented within the Bene Gesserit order. Not that they have a choice about it, but you know, we still want to be front and centre. Now let's have a look at the Spacing Guild. For our navigators over in the Spacing Guild, I think a more scientific, spacey vibe will be required. From my research, this guild is highly renowned and probably highly proud. To bolster their egos, I think we need to very much play into this. I also think sponsoring the guild into creating their own podcast would also be a great starting point. We'd film the chat and use snippets from it to promote the podcast. This would inevitably lead to a chat of melange and its uses and why it's so integral to the Spacing Guild. Like, very, very integral to the Spacing Guild. I would also find a famous space folder crash and get some pilots under the influence of spice to fly through the same area, showing them pass through successfully. This is because prior to using spice, crashes were frequent. If we can find also an area that isn't frequently passed through because it's so dangerous, but now with the use of spice, it's much safer, that could be some very, very convincing content. Think the air crash investigations where they go and sit in a simulator and other pilots undertake the same flight route with the same crisis in order to see if they can do anything differently. That kind of vibe. For our short form content, I would perhaps do some of those impossible challenges with younger pilots, increasing the difficulty with each video, starting with getting a pen in a pot to like threading a needle from a metre away. We could also do the attempts taken both with someone who has never used spice to our pilots who are indoctrinated into spice. Because melange is in fact a necessity for both groups, a hard sell I don't think is needed. We just want to make this fluffy, engaging, fun content to keep us front and centre. We never know what's going on. It is the era of space travel. Technology is through the roof. Who knows what scientists are doing in their labs? They might be making synthetic alternatives, and we want to make sure that our natural, organic spice is what everyone chooses to go for, regardless of what comes on the market. So we have to put effort in, even when we are currently a necessity. So what we would do is, firstly, we separate our customer base into two. We then have a look at their needs and who they are. We found that with Bene Gesserit, they are brushing shoulders with nobility. We want to do some high-end content. We want to do some user-generated content. We want to influence those young minds coming up through the order. With the Spacing Guild, we want more tech, jargon, scientific information involved in our content. We want our guys showing just how much better off they are with spice, and we also want to show what is possible now that wasn't in the past, how much safer space travel is with it, and just really nail in how important, how much of a necessity our product is. And with that, we have our video marketing strategy for spice. If you liked our selling of a psychedelic, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe. If you have any other fictional products, services, events, anything else you can think of that needs some video marketing strategy done for them, made up for them, pop them in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.